houses that wouldn't have sold or would have sold for 5 figures are now luxury homes, small homes in that area.
I'd add Brickell to that as well. You see the new inventory that's coming up there, Aston Martin, Baccarat, Cipriani, St. Regis. There's a huge demand, and most of those buildings are selling out very, very well pre-construction. I think it goes to what Julian was talking about before. People are willing to buy now to have something in 3 to 4 years when coming here. But those buyers want a super luxury product, which really wasn't on Brickell before. But that whole Brickell skyline is going to change and have a whole new tier of properties.
I'm not an expert on the statistic of people that have returned to the office, but 55% gets thrown around a lot. And I think that the buyers now, specifically with the increase in traffic in Miami, which is now starting to affect us greatly, it's become far more important for their drive time. So anyone that would have been on Upper North Bay Road, a lot of my wealthy clients are now looking in Coconut Grove, which I still think is undervalued because of the schools and the distance in travel time to the upcoming office towers.
So knowing this, do you guys position
Let me just add one thing real quick, and it's not even location. It's build something new, but they're not making any more land. There's a huge demand, especially in the sectors that I see, for real big lots in South Florida.
You're seeing that in Pinecrest. It's incredible. I don't think we ever thought there would be homes that were selling $10 million in Pinecrest.
There are many of them.
When the
now.
First one sold, I was like, oh my gosh, that's insane. And now it's like every week there's a $10 million home selling in Pinecrest. It's absolutely incredible.
Going up everywhere. You're right, George.
So how are developers getting involved with this? Are they trying to buy up land and stack on top of that?
They are definitely
And now the
buying them.
consumer is battling with them.
I think the single-family home developers are looking for old homes on good land, wherever it is that they want to build. There's no more land. So they're paying good money for land, and yeah, they're rebuilding.
Although a lot of it in the luxury market, I'd say in the last 12 months, the majority of sales were finished homes. People that are moving to Miami that don't want to get involved in the construction and the headaches and the horror stories that they hear. And I think pending sales on vacant land is almost at a standstill until about 3 months ago. Construction costs have come down only slightly. They're not expected to drop too much, but the general contractors are definitely calling in more, looking for bids. And so I think it's still going to be a very strong market for general contractors and architects, but definitely end users and now developers are definitely getting back into the market for land because prices have probably corrected about 5 to 10% on average.
What is some advice that you would give, not a new agent, but someone that wants to get into the super luxury? How do they get involved? Is it certain marketing? What are the conversations with the people they're talking to?
Luck.
Now, Liz has luck, but she works really hard. So I do think luck is involved, but I think you have to be out there and you have to go to events and network and you have to learn, like we just did, about all the topics that are interesting and relevant to the luxury buyers. And sometimes that involves a lot of time and a lot of boring computer classes, as we heard, but you have to go and see where the people are that are buying these places and network, I think.
I'm going to say this, and I say this every time I talk outside of South Florida. Miami is the most competitive real estate market in the history of the world right now, I believe. Call me crazy. What would I tell a new agent coming into the sector? I would tell him to really think hard and ask himself, what is he doing to put himself in a position to get that listing, not only from an education perspective, which I think is super important. When you're in front of that situation, they are going to ask you, have you sold a luxury property before? And when you say, instead of saying no, you have to say, hey, let me tell you what I've done to prepare myself for this situation. So number one, prepare yourself. And number two, there's an old saying in Spanish, let me tell you who you hang out with and I'll tell you who, you are, let me tell you who you hang out with and I'm going to tell you who you end up selling to.
I think the more competitive that it gets, the easy answer is that you have to shrink your farm area. And so as an example, please don't come to Miami Beach, but let's pick a Cocoa Plum as an example. There might be 300 homes. And normally you might target an area in a farm area of like 1,000 to 2,000 homes. Instead, target 300 homes, send them 300 letters, make 300 phone calls, send 300 gifts. And when you finally start to get 1 or 2 listings, and there might only be like 20 homes listed in the area. When you get to 6 or 7 listings, you have 40% of the market. And then from that, you can expand your farm area and grow. But if you want to break into it, shrink your farm area to a point where you actually get some listings, and from that, you can grow.
So would that area be saturated with agents wanting to get into the luxury market?
If you use that example that I just gave you and went into Coco Plum, you'd see there's 20 listings and there's probably 14 agents. So no one has a dominant share. So that means there is room for an agent to move in and get a listing here and there. And then most of those agents, like myself, have a very big farm area. So when agents come in and target a very small specific area of my farm area, they can usually start taking listings away from it.
I think another way for agents too is to partner with an agent who has a track record. And that's truly the easiest way to do it, because once you can land one, then you have something to go to the next guy with and say, I did this at this property, give me a shot at yours.
And that's the beauty of teams too. So if you're starting out and you want to be in that arena, it's good to find a team within your company that does luxury sales and see if there's any way that you can either join them or learn from them or help, do open houses, do anything that will get you in that sphere.
So last question. Besides farming, having a laser focus on the area you're doing, what could someone do today that's going to give them an edge, set them apart from others?
I think it's customer service, is it? The luxury buyer wants to be attended to. The luxury buyer wants knowledge. They want to feel confident. They need to trust you, and they need discretion. So I think discretion is key. I'm sure we all know of people that have not had discretion and they didn't get that buyer again or their friends. So you have to be careful, and you have to be very willing and able to work at whatever hour they are available. So if your phone turns off at a certain hour and they call you an hour later and you're not there, that's not good.
Wait, Monica, you don't do that for all your customers?
I do. Even for the rentals, I do.
Go for it.
I would say, people will work with you, whether it's a seller or a buyer, because they like you and they trust you. Like is obviously the personality, you have things in common. Trust comes from them understanding that you have the experience and you know what you're doing. And then I think everyone has their own shtick, their own sort of like personality. And like Matthew, one of my colleagues, is sitting there, and we went to a listing about 6 months ago, and I swear to God, the woman said, I've had 50 realtors knock on the door after it expired. And so we went a couple times, and so to get that listing, to set ourselves apart, we got lucky. There was a small horse stable at the back that was grandfathered in. It was in unincorporated Dade, just south of Coral Gables. And I said to her, listen, we're going to rent a horse and ride around on a video. If any of those other 50 brokers come back and say they're going to do that, you hire them. And we work a week later, and she said, no one else talked about horses. I said, well, I'm going to have them here next week. So we got on horses, we rode around. I swear to God, 2 weeks later, this guy's flicking through his iPad, and his 9-year-old looks over his shoulder and goes, and there was a horse right in front of the house. I want to go see that house. And we had a bidding war within 2 weeks, and we sold it.
So final comments. I see we're out of time. Secret superpowers, consistency, and failing fast. The faster you fail, you find out what works. And the name of the game here is consistency in marketing and follow-up and a bunch of other avenues.
Great, thank you. Congratulations on all your success, and thanks for being here.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, well, I guess I'm going to stay up here. This is the exciting one. Let's talk about mortgage. Let's talk about the future of mortgages, where that's going, how it's going. And then, of course, we're going to tie in some title in there and what I feel is going to be the future of not only for the consumer, but for the title industry. So come on up, Jeff. How you doing?
Hello.
All right, everybody. So,
Marceli,
with,
nice to meet
am
you.
I on? We've got 4 panelists here to talk about mortgages, title, and how Web 3.0 and the blockchain are changing real estate. So we'll just kick it off with a quick elevator pitch. Just tell us who you are and what you do. We'll start with you, Masha.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Propy, for inviting us. My name is Marceli Aguilar. I've been in blockchain for over a year and a half, and I had the opportunity of being here thanks to a hackathon where we were the winners, and we're going to be able to present our product. I work at a company. It's a DAO named Giveth, where what we do is crowdfunding through crypto.
My name is Eric Cruz. I'm the Senior Vice President of Growth at Propy. Yeah, that's it.
My name is Pedro Menocal. I'm a partner at PAG Law. I do a lot of venture capital, private equity, and real estate. I'm also the founder of Miami Go Title.
My name is Lisa Jaramillo, and I'm a realtor in the Central Florida. And I've been in this business for over 14 years. Also in mortgage since 2004. And I'm looking forward to keep innovating, to keep leveraging these tools that Propy and this amazing technology have for us. So thank you. Happy to be here.
Okay. All right, and well, let me just kick it off real broadly. How is this technology changing real estate, and how do you envision it changing real estate in the future, the way that homes are bought and sold?
Well, if there's one thing that should definitely be on the blockchain, it's real estate title. It would definitely make it a lot easier to do title searches, to understand the transferability of title. There's a number of challenges also, but having title on the blockchain totally makes sense.
Okay, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Anyone else?
Yeah, so it's just going to be a streamlined transaction. Currently, right now, it's a lengthy process. There's a lot of hands in the pot. You're waiting for banks, you're waiting for the counties, you're waiting, and the waiting has just got to stop. There's got to be a more efficient way of doing business. There's got to be a more efficient way of doing real estate. And that's the purpose of us moving, our platform onto the blockchain, is because now we're positioning that to occur.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think we are heading towards a digital economy, and I think everybody's thirsty for liquidity, especially now. So I think we're gonna be. That's exactly what blockchain is doing with real estate. Is making it automatic. Is making the instant settlement, which is a huge part, available, and we are heading towards there. So it's totally changing the entire industry.
And so instant settlement, meaning you buy a house and you own it the next day?
That is correct.
Okay.
It's a click and buy transaction, as I mentioned in the previous panels. It's removing the friction, removing the third parties, and it's happening. It will be happening, I think, faster than ever, especially during global geopolitical tensions. People looking for store of value, and Bitcoin halving coming. I think that's going to drive prices. And when they look for allocating those profits, they probably will look into real estate and tokenization of it.
Let me just ask really quick, because we've done an NFT project, right? Where we've converted home into NFT, sold it, transferred ownership, 24 hours, done. Why hasn't that adopted? Like, why do you think people aren't doing that all the time?
Education. I think it comes down to that. Education, I'm sorry. It comes down to that. There's got to be more agents that are willing to learn, adapt it, and show it to the investors, open the door for them. And it's pre-education. I think that's what it is.
And Maja, you're focused on the mortgage space. How is blockchain going to change the way mortgages are done?
I mean, entirely. The thing is that blockchain is here and it's here to stay. I completely agree with everyone right here. Things have to change because the future, it's not only a future, it's right here, it's happening.
Mhm.
People are looking to do everything with more transparency. We're looking at thousands of people wanting to get a mortgage, wanted to buy a house. And the truth is, like 12% of millennials in 2021 actually sold their cryptocurrencies in order to pay their down payment.
Mhm.
So there is a niche that it's no longer a niche. Imagine if we can do all these transactions seamlessly, transparently, when you don't have to worry. Specifically in the country that I live in is Mexico, and a lot of people in South America, we deal with a lot of fraud, and I know in here happens too. And in making sure that this doesn't happen requires a lot of people, a lot of money, a lot of time. Makes no sense.
So now that whole idea of not selling your blockchain, of keeping your blockchain and using it as an asset to collateralize your mortgage, we heard on the previous panel, wealthy people using their stocks to collateralize mortgages. So same concept, and there was a lot of excitement around these crypto-backed mortgages a couple of years ago, and it seems to me that the reality so far hasn't lived up to that excitement. But I guess just tell us what's going on in terms of crypto-backed mortgages. I mean, how many are being done, and how far out in the future is it before that becomes commonplace?
It's not a common thing right now, but there is people looking for it. I just found a friend, Ian. This guy actually was one of the people that believed in decentralization, wanted to shift the economy, believed in a different way of actually making things. And yeah, he built up rich. He became rich because he had a lot of cryptocurrencies. By the time he wanted to buy a house, it was such a drama for him. Our project is trying to leverage everything that is happening right now in blockchain with trying to solve all the issues that real estate has right now. And it's become super easy. Like through our program, what we just launched, and in partnership with Propy, we actually designed, built, and deployed a mortgage DeFi platform where you can use your cryptocurrency as a collateral. And beautiful thing about this, I'll explain later, but the collateral is going to be used as well to download your mortgage payments. And at the same time, it's opening a decentralized finance economy through everyone right here being able to put their money in a liquidity pool, and that liquidity pool is going to provide the stream of money that is going to be actually lended. So win-win situations everywhere.
Okay. And are you doing anything with mortgages yet, the crypto-backed mortgages?
Crypto-backed mortgages, no. I made a video because my side is like at least putting the word out there and creating those opportunities. But I'm very excited to hear you say. We had a meeting with a couple of companies. But yes, it hasn't been done on my side, but I look forward to have people leverage their crypto, still hold it, and make money out of it. Definitely. Thank you.
And what do you see as the major obstacle to this becoming mainstream?
Well, the thing is, I do believe the same. I do think it's education. I think we need to take this technology and actually being able, it's about explaining it in a simple way. I think most of the people here have heard about blockchain or crypto, but maybe not all of you understand exactly what it is. So it is our job to make it easier for people. We need to market it in a simple way. Just like when you use your credit card, you have no idea how that happens, but payment goes. So that's how crypto is going to have to take a look at a very simple way of making people have a mass adoption.
And so, Pedro, you mentioned title has been sort of the most obvious use case, or one of the most obvious use cases for the blockchain. We've been hearing that for years. How far along are we in terms of having title recorded on the blockchain?
Well, there is a lot of title. Obviously, there are some groups that are doing title on the blockchain, but and it's appropriate to record title on the blockchain, but you still have to do the sort of traditional, you still have to have a title recorded at the recording office. And one of the challenges for the turning title onto the blockchain is adding correct, accurate information that exists already in red title registries all over the United States. And we're talking about hundreds of millions of transactions. All of these things have to be added to the blockchain correctly, and and the information has to be accurate. And then, because obviously, if there's a mistake or a cloud on title, and that's the first entry in the blockchain, then the whole chain is going to be wrong, right? So those are some of the challenges that are happening right now. But I think that Propy's doing. I think it's somewhere in New England. They're doing a pilot I think I can't remember what city it is, but that sort of thing I think is really helpful, because you're having right now, you're basically creating that record, even though the blockchain title is not the official record for the government. It creates that information. It provides that information already, and that sort of thing is going to make it easier to digitize things in the future.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we did have a pilot that we ran in Northeast with the county. We're actually in the process right now of building relationships with state governments, some county governments, because what we're trying to do is, like you said, Pedro, we got to record all the deeds that are currently in place accurately. And then from that point, we have to have legislation in place so that every deed from that point will then be recorded onto the deed. Unfortunately, for some title companies, that means that they're going to go out of business, because now what happens is, if all the title is now on the chain, well, now the consumer no longer has to pay for a $3,000, $4,000 insurance policy. Now it's just a $300, almost like blockchain warranty. So the benefits of having title and going through this process is well worth it for the consumer, because now we're talking about trillions of dollars that the consumer can initially save.
Well, and you just mentioned one of the big challenges that this transition is facing. I mean, there's a title insurance industry making billions of dollars that I don't think they're going to give that up easily. So I guess
we're ready for them.
So how far out in the future is this? I mean, certainly it's not hard to imagine all titles being on the blockchain, but it's when can it happen? How long is it going to take?
Well, currently now, every transaction that we transact with at Propy, it's always recorded on the chain. Currently, right now, we're in talks with governments, and so it's not a matter of something that's so far in the distance and years, but in the coming months that we're going to hopefully have something blueprinted.
Okay, and so Pedro, you're a title attorney. Are those, as it stands now, are those blockchain legal documents, are they actually legal? Are they legally binding?
You still have to do the recording at the recording office. That's the way that right now, the only way to transfer title. We're hoping that at some point it will be on all the blockchain, but right now you have to do it in conjunction.
And you mentioned the state by state. I assume it's going to be a state by state lobbying effort for this to happen.
It has to be, yeah, because I mean that's one of the problems of America, is like everything is divided into 50, and everybody's got. I mean, they're all the rules are basically the same, but they're different, and there's different political implications in each. You know how it is.
Yeah, by county by county.
By county, yeah, absolutely.
And so now you mentioned the length of the process. It's I don't know what typical time to close a mortgage is, for 50 days, something like that. So and there was mention of instant closing. So how do we get from where we are now, which is 50 days or whatever it is to close, to closing the next day? I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah, I think it just comes back to education. Education, and I mean, we've already done it a few times, right? And so the technology is there. There are people out there that are willing to make that step, and want to be a part of history. So it's just a matter of knowing that it's possible. Like when we tell real estate agents, oh yeah, we've closed the transaction and transferred title in 24 hours. They're like, what? Like it's wild to them, right? But it's out there and it's possible. So the more that we can talk about it, the more that we project that this technology is actually available, I think the more adaptation we'll have. A part of that too, though, is that cryptocurrencies now, I mean, outside of blockchain technology, but cryptocurrency still has a bad rap, and there's still something that's just kind of hanging over, and a lot of people don't want it, don't understand it, and all that. So even on that case, has to be education so that we can tie it all together.
Well, by the way, one thing, in addition to what you're saying, any situation where there's a standardization of documents makes everything AI and all of these technologies can make things a lot easier. So as technology advances, and as a lawyer, I can tell you that it's a lot easier for me to do almost any kind of transaction today than it was 2 years ago
Mhm.
or 3 years ago. And so as these technologies advance, at some point the part of the delay in getting these mortgages and other deals done is how long it takes to prepare the documents. If you can prepare the documents instantaneously or in a matter of hours, I mean, that really is going to save you a lot of time and money.
I totally think the same. And the truth is, like title insurance, it's going to pass all this that we're saying, okay, they're going to be like bankrupt, they're going to be like left out of a business. Honestly, no, because I'm inviting them to be the ones who leverage AI, bring the data, and then be the ones that actually offer the service. Like, you have to pivot. This is the time to actually like jump and get on the wave. Like, we're all still in time.
Resistance is futile, right?
Well, so you mentioned one example of in terms of legal documents are prepared much more quickly. I know there are companies working on doing instantaneous verification of employment and income, so the mortgage broker, the loan officer isn't calling back and forth to the employer for 2 days. But it seems like the big sticking point is the appraisal. I mean, that's going to be a couple of weeks. How do we squeeze that appraisal timeline down to make this happen?
Some things take time. The appraisal, that's a good point, actually. Very good. Because you have to go in and inspect the house, and it's some technology that inspects the house.
Well, as far as I know, there are now actually Fannie Mae is now there is allowing new apps that allow AI protocols allow us to do 3D images and all the data connected together, and being able to show and feel a home, the actual space, and have digital experience about a property, so it makes it easier. But that's mainly when it comes to the AI. I wanted to weigh into what you told early. It is happening about the deeds on chain. Absolutely, all the closings that we do, we close them on chain. We Propy, even if I represent the buyer side, so it happens at least in Orlando, all the time. And allowing them, you also touch about the ownership part, and I think it's crucial for everybody to know when coming into a digitalization era, the vulnerabilities about proving ownership are going to be rising. So it is crucial to put those titles on chain, whether you are closing it as an NFT or not. Still, traditional real estate should be putting the QR code in there and have that either scanned record of ownership.
Okay, well, we're being yanked off the stage, but thank you very much, everyone, and
Thank you.
we'll see you again next year.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes. How are you doing after lunch? Did you get to meet each other, network, meet the teams at the tables? Fantastic. The next panel will be amazing with top influencers on Instagram. The majority of our speakers on this panel have more than 1 million followers. And some of them are having their real estate business via Instagram. How many of you are very active on Instagram? Raise your hand. Here you go, here you go, here you go. Did you post a story about the summit today? Yes, make sure to use Propy Summit, hashtag Propy Summit, And then you can go to the Propy table and get 50 Propy token reward for streaming from the summit with the hashtag Propy Summit and many other awards. So I'm very thrilled to welcome Alvaro Nunes on stage. Welcome, Alvaro. Scott Clary, welcome. Oscar Paraguchoto. I'm sorry, I should have trained before that. Tell it in the right way.
Paraguacuto.
Paraguacuto. Welcome. Welcome, gentlemen. We're waiting for Maya. 4 minutes. Okay, she'll be here shortly. Welcome, please sit down. Wow, what a panel and what a day. Let's start, Alvaro, with you. You had a tremendous year, last year specifically. I read your book called Level Up. And right? Many fans of Level Up here? Woo! Level up the volume.
There we go. Now we're talking.
And it was an amazing read for me, how within 1 year, you got into real estate business, you got very athletic, healthy, and you wrote a book. So you set all those goals, shared them with your community, and just made it all happen. How did you do it? How within 12 months you had such an incredible transformation? And what was the role of your community in this journey?
First of all, thank you for having me here. I'm thrilled to be with all of you. And I think that a lot of us have heard of that. It took all of you 10 years for that overnight success. It's not just a matter of 1 year. It's not a matter of 1 month. It's about consistently doing something for many years with a clear vision of where you're going. And when it comes to social media, since this is the panel about, I was going to say that social media has definitely helped to expedite the process, because if you showcase what you're doing every single day through that journey, you're going to start attracting the same type of people that are going to help you move forward. So you can build a really strong community on social media to expedite your process. So that's one of the things that I will say I've been putting a lot of effort in, which is showcasing what this journey is all about, with the book, with the conferences, with the real estate, with the challenges on sports. So it's all about really breadcrumbing, showing little pieces of your day and staying accountable for what you're saying that you want to do. So, well, let's give it a round of applause to Maya, who joined us a little bit here.
Welcome, Maya.
How are you?
Sorry, guys. You know what? I actually left an hour ago, but it's so congested. So, anyways,
Welcome to Miami.
what did I miss? What did I miss?
We just started.
We're just leveling up here, Maya.
Well, thank you so much once again, all of you, to be here on this stage. I'm sure people are so hungry for the knowledge from you. So, Maya, do you want to take a breath, or are you ready to go?
No, it's okay. I just proved myself that I'm out of shape walking from the parking lot here. Anyways, yeah,
So the question for you would be, let's start with the background. How did you get, so you have over 1 million followers on Instagram.
In the last 3 weeks, I actually probably lost 30,000, but that's a whole different subject.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It just shows, thank you. Yes, so I have about 1.3 followers, but obviously Selling Sunset is the reason.
Yeah. And that was my question.
Yeah.
How did you get on Netflix?
So, yeah, Netflix. I was always licensed agents with the Oppenheim Group in Los Angeles. Me and the other girls, actually, because everybody thinks we got casted for the show, but everybody are licensed. Jason did a nice billboard. Jason is my broker. He did a billboard. He placed it on Sunset Plaza. It's a main road in LA. And the producer drove by, and he saw the girls and the guys. And he said, this could be a cool idea for a show. And he pitched Jason. Jason at first rejected the idea. He, was consistent, pitched it again, and then we start shooting. We decided to shoot the demo. It was me and the other girls and the guys, Jason and Brett, and that's how it started. But I will say that they were trying to pitch the show to Bravo and E, and they both declined Selling Sunset, and Netflix picked it up, and we was very successful. And now everybody wants to be in selling, trying to do Selling Sunset, like other brokerages, other companies, but yeah.
Well, that's a great testament for you that you took on to this opportunity, this journey, and eventually it became so successful. Scott, you also have over 1 million followers, and I love your motivational posts, and they really help people to get to the next stage in their lives. You interview a lot of successful people, entrepreneurs. How do you think we should use Instagram to grow the audience?
So I think that a few things. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. An awesome panel and an awesome event so far. And I hopefully you're getting over that post-lunch coma and you can pay attention, take some notes. Good panel. I think that Instagram is important. I think that creating content should be looked at not just through Instagram though, because I don't want people to walk away from this and just think they killed it on Instagram and I haven't really figured it out, so I'm going to give up. I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I think what you should do when you go on your content creation, personal branding journey, it has to be authentic to you, not just in the content you create, but the medium you choose to deliver that message. So growing Instagram is great. And if you find a way to grow whatever message you're trying to put out on Instagram, it really works. For me, I'm interviewing founder of Reebok, founder of Nike, founder of Waze. I'm interviewing huge people and I can tap into their audiences. It's a little bit harder for somebody that doesn't have that access or those faces showing up on their feed. But maybe the way you want to communicate is through podcast. I also do that. Maybe you like being in front of a camera. Maybe you like writing. Whatever it is, whatever your strength is, triple down on that. Because whatever your strength is, that's a great way to start creating content, getting into the rhythm, building an audience that way. And you can still have a huge newsletter that's driving tons of revenue, tons of leads, whatever it is. So I don't want you to look at the shiny object and just say, that's not for me. I'm not going to do anything. Focus on content creation, community building, leaning into your strengths. That's where you win. That's where you get started.
And speaking of interviews, I have a question for Oscar. How many here think like when you have 1 million followers, so it's easy for you to speak, right? We have like 2,000, 5,000, 10. How many of you have less than 10,000? Right? Many of us have, I think 6 or 7. So it's very, very easy for us to think, oh, it's doable for you. You get to the speed, you found your niche, so the followers now are getting added organically. You probably don't even have to try hard. But here we have an amazing example. I think you have 40,000 followers?
Under 30.
30?
Under 37, yeah.
Something, yeah. And I think you found this niche with interviews, and you don't have to have access to those famous founders or entrepreneurs to get started. So please share, how did you get your, I don't know, latest 10,000 followers?
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity with this amazing panel and all the amazing speakers that we had today. Well, yes, I can say that I'm in the battleground and work in the day-to-day basis using the social media as a tool, because that is what it is. It's a great tool that we all have, we all use it, but now we're implementing it into our businesses. So for me, the thing is that I see a lot of noise. We see a lot of noise on social media. So for us is to find your own voice and show your personality through what you want to do. So it doesn't matter what are your interests. If you like food, if you like travel, you can merge that with your business and find your community, because you're not gonna be liked by everyone and vice versa. So once you find your own voice and keep trying to until you find it. Because one of the things is at the beginning we think a lot into how to start, and you see yourself in a magnifying glass where you see every single defect. So the thing is your first videos, your first products, it's not gonna be great, it's not gonna be the best, but you're gonna keep learning from it, and it's a long-term journey because it's gonna be for a career.
And you just went out on the streets and started interviewing people.
Yes, I went to the streets and I went interviewing people, and at first you get a lot of rejection, so that's something that you don't see on camera. So you might feel like, okay, people are
What
not
did you
liking,
ask
so
them?
I will ask them like, I will go to a specific neighborhood in Miami, and I will ask them what are their favorite things about the neighborhood, if they're own or if they buy. But I'll try to make it amicable and for a broader audience, and that opened doors for me to
Yeah.
talk with those people that live in the area as well. So they give me
Exactly.
business.
And this makes you different, right? You have a different approach. Maya, how do we overcome this fear and be authentic? Because the majority of real estate accounts that I'm seeing, they just all post about listings. Here's new listing, here's new open house.
And no one care, by the way. Let me tell you, the engagement on my real estate is so low compared to personal stuff. Look, for people who do real estate or any other sales or any other type, it's okay to post and promote because you do want to remind people on what you're doing, and you don't know who is watching you, where is the lead can come from. But don't be afraid to be yourself and be authentic, because that's how people can connect with you. So I always post. Well, recently I posted different things, which I will suggest avoid politics, avoid unless it's really close to your heart, because you can never win. But I will say, post about your dog, about your kids, about your food that you like to eat. I think it's very important because that's how people connect with you. So I have my business account with my real estate, which it has decent followers, actually, almost 60,000. But it's boring, it's like, oh, just listed, just sold, and I'm going to try to bring some interesting stuff to that account. But my personal stuff is definitely more like, this is who I am. I don't try to pretend I'm someone else, and I'm just being myself. If people like it, great. If they don't, what can I do? We can make everybody happy. I will want to say, look, I have the followers because of Selling Sunset, and it grew over every season. It grew more and more. I will say, it's easier for me to say that I have all these followers, but I want to give an example from this guy. He was still licensed with the O Group, and you might know him from YouTube. His name is Graham Stefan. He's a good friend of mine. He has an amazing YouTube channel with a lot of subscribers. He makes a ton of money and basically talks about how to save money, how to invest in credit cards, and just kind of like millennial financial stuff. And he's very consistent, and he started with like very little viewers, and little by little, and it's a time, and it takes time, and it's consistency, and it's a process.
Fantastic. Alvaro, do you get any real estate deals through your Instagram? Does it help you to grow business? I know Propy is selling your books, but how about real estate?
100%. It's a lead generator at the end of the day, and you're building a community online, so you're able to reach to a broader audience and also decide what's your niche market. Like if Scott is saying about tapping into certain individuals where you can broaden through that audience, Maya just said, I can reach out right now to really successful real estate professionals from all around the world that focus on luxury real estate, that tap into that same type of clientele, that have that audience, and start building those relationships, whether it is through podcasts, whether it is collaborations. But there is one thing that for sure will happen, and it's not overnight, is the consistency. It's about putting the content out there, keeping outreaching every day. You are one DM away from building a relationship that can change your entire career. My first big deal, it happened because it was referred from a broker that was overseas, and that just builds momentum. So don't be afraid to reach out to people, and people are going to be most likely to engage with you back if they see something that you've been posting over time, whether it's about the real estate or something that they might connect on a deeper level. So what Maya said, it also makes total sense. Focus on your lifestyle in a way that you're posting things that you're passionate about. You're passionate about skydiving like myself, post about skydiving. You're passionate about going and walk the dog, post about that as well, because there will be people out there that will connect way more on that than on the houses that you're selling or listing. And there is one thing that I want to make sure that everybody in here keeps in mind, and it's about getting started. Don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of not getting enough engagement. Don't be afraid of not getting the responses when you send a DM. Keep doing it, because eventually it's going to start taking off. And one thing that you can always look into your mirror and check every day is your energy levels. If your energy levels are low, people are not going to connect with you. The energy is the current currency for personal and professional success. And I want to remind you that because the energy right now is that current currency for personal and professional success. If I walk into any room or I'm in front of a camera and I'm just like, hi, Scott, how are you? Nice to meet you. Even in a camera, hi, guys, I'm here in my listing. Or I am, hey, what's going on, Pina? I'm good. Well, she's very sweet. She's very sweet.
That's the action.
But I'm gonna leave a long-lasting. I don't need my phone, but I will leave a long-lasting impression. People are gonna be like, "Holy shit, what's happening?" You know, and you wanna always have that high energy. So get started.
Now everybody woke up. Yes. I will have one question now, and then I'd like to get a question from the audience. So get ready. If somebody has a question, please come over so I give you a mic. Scott, which system you would recommend for the folks to use if they're really into growing their Instagram community?
Okay, so let's nerd out for a second. Systems are very important. Systems allow me to put out across everything, I would say 100 pieces of content per day. And that's reels, that's long form video, long form audio, it could be tweets, it could be whatever. So to have that system in place, you have to have, I like to call it pillar content, that long form content that can be turned into everything else. I'm just going to very briefly walk through my process because these are all the tools that I use. This is a system that works for me. Why do I do a podcast, audio, video? Because I can take it, all the derivative content. I have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pieces. This is not a new system that I invented. I mean, Gary Vee does this shit. Alex Ramosi does it. They all do this, right? They have that pillar content. They break it down. So podcast record, YouTube, audio. Take that. Obviously, you throw it up on YouTube and your podcast. It could be Libsyn, Megaphone, whatever. Then I use opus.pro. That's an AI tool that transcribes the podcast. Basically auto creates these short little reels. All the reels on my Instagram right now are auto created via AI, and then there's subtitles put on top of them. I transcribe the podcast with otter.ai. That gets turned into a newsletter that goes out. I have about 320,000 on the newsletter list. And then I can take that transcription, look for those, key sentences, 2 sentences. That's a tweet. That's a nice little graphic that goes up on Facebook, whatever it is. But
I love those, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But the point is, you need this system in place because you'll hear this a lot, right? Like your performance always falls to the level of your systems or your preparation. But I say they're one and the same. So I think that
energy and systems.
Energy and systems. Man, you get
That's
energy
right.
and systems.
Let's go.
You're living a good life. You get energy and systems dialed in every single day.
Plus AI.
Plus, yeah, AI helps a little bit too. But AI just makes you superhuman, right? So now, as if I was a solo creator, I had no team, and now I do. But if I was a solo creator, I could do everything that. If you go on my social, you'll see all the stuff I put out every single day. That could be done by one person with maybe 6 to 8 hours of extra time during the week. Not saying it's easy, but it's possible to put out that much with the tools we have, with the systems that I've built. So a few different pieces of tech. You asked about Instagram in particular, but Instagram is short form video first. I think that's very important. A lot of platforms optimize for short form video. Obviously, sort of TikTok led the way, and now Instagram and YouTube Shorts and whatnot. So have a system that creates that short form video that puts your face in front of your audience. This is my system that allows me to do it every single day.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Scott, for the advice. I hope you wrote down. Come over, please, here so I can give you my mic.
Buenas, mi nombre es Pina, and Pina, I want to really congratulate all of you, especially Álvaro, because he for me is such a young age and showing all of us that you can have the discipline, the perseverance. He's like the Messi of real estate. Vamos!
Vamos, I like that one.
And he has the ethics. He has everything that we should, I mean, I am like the princess. We should, for our team, we should all look at. He's showing that we have to have consistency in everything in life. taking care of the body, taking care of the mind, taking care of the spirit, and taking care of the clients. So Alvaro, thank you so much because you are opening a new way.
Thank you.
And really, I am blessed, and we are all blessed to have you here. A big applause for Alvaro, please.
For
Continue.
all of us.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment.
But see, it was the
Did you pay her?
See the energy, long-lasting impression. See, it made her stand up and say something nice.
Hi guys, thank you for being here. Lots of great information. My name is Maritza Garcia, and my question is, what would you say to someone that's wanting to break into the luxury market? How would you build a brand around that, and how do you kind of break through to that?
Hang out with her.
I like everything in life, and I love that you said consistency. It takes time. I started in LA, and frankly, I will say yes, I have the show here, but I'm starting newer in Miami, so I'm starting to build my brand. So for me, branding and logo was very important. Classic color, simple, chic. So that's for branding. As far as like the luxury market, you just have to work your way up. I didn't expect to move to Miami and sell immediately like $5 million house or whatever, or 3 million and up. It takes time. In LA, I will say I did a lot of open houses in expensive locations. I think it's great to meet clients. You want to do a lot of networking, and it's not necessarily sometimes what you know, it's who you know. So a lot of networking. And again, it's a process. It's not, I didn't start in real estate and selling like expensive houses. I sold a lot, and even in Miami, I still sell condo in Brickell. I don't discard those transactions because you never know where the referral will come from. And I will say for social media, post videos of like nice houses so people will associate with you with luxury, and just look and basically your image. It's very important as well. But again, consistency, like everything in life, it takes time.
Thank you.
Can I give one?
Yes.
Can I give one just very, very quick? If you're trying to basically get into the right rooms, just a general networking piece of advice, individuals that are selling luxury homes, everybody's asking things of them all the time. They've succeeded in some degree in their life, and they probably have, some wealth, and people are always trying to get from them. Give to them all the time. No asks. Show up and just be there, listen. And I think that's helped me in my networking. Being, new to Miami, I just show up in the right rooms, and I'm not asking anything, and I'm not selling anything, and that makes people comfortable with you and trust you. And it's not like you're trying to trick them into buying later or working with you later. You're actually building a real relationship, as opposed to what happens sometimes is it's just transactional, and people think just transactional. So I think you do that for long enough, you have a pretty good network that could let you move into that market.
That's a
I
great
agree
tip.
with you, by the way.
100%.
It's a great
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
Building a relationship authentically. Come over, Lucy. It's really important on not even on social media, but overall. Lucy, last question from you.
Thank you, Natalia. Hi, I'm Lucy Edwards. I'm with Metaport, and what I do, I interview leaders in real estate industry. I had a pleasure to interview Ron Sheffield. He just left, but I have great content, and my YouTube channel needs help for more subscribers. Please subscribe to youtube.com/Lucy Edwards VHT.
Woo!
And
Go
what
for it.
advice would you give me? Thank you.
Listen, great what you just did.
That's the best question you could have asked.
Everything. No, but listen, I love what you just did right there. Congratulations of taking the courage to do that. And also the question is very good, because sometimes you don't need to take those little steps until you finally build an audience over time. Start doing what Scott was talking about, the OPAs, other people audiences. Who are the ones that already have built that audience? How can you add value? How can you do that tandem to do collaborations with these individuals? So that audience will all of a sudden start also following yourself. She just mentioned somebody that does amazing YouTube videos that has nothing to do with real estate. Maybe you come as the real estate person, and that's how you start building a great audience, and your channel will blow up. I mean, you can also come into more conference and shoot it out.
Nobody builds anything alone. Nobody who you know has built anything alone either.
I mean, I'm starting, I'm late to the game with YouTube. I just started my YouTube channel a couple of weeks ago, and I only have 230 followers. So you think for my Instagram of 1.3, I know I'll follow. I will have like million in YouTube like in no day, but it's also for me, it's a process with YouTube, and I'm trying to test, okay, what's going to catch, the eye. And if you look at Gary Vee, we spoke about Gary Vee. If you look at his viewers in the beginning when he started, he had very low viewers in his videos, and obviously like it takes time, like everything in life. Rome wasn't built in one day, and neither real estate and a YouTube influencer gig. It's all about consistency.
Just one little thing that I will suggest to keep in mind. When you add that passion element into anything you do, you're going to enjoy the process, because you will give up if you don't add that passion element. So add into whatever you're building something that you love doing regardless, and just share it as it's part of your life.
How about we all find the hashtag Propy Summit, which I encourage you to share with your post today, and you follow all the people that post anything from the summit, and they will follow you back. Okay? Let's do it. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
dear
Appreciate it.
speakers.
Sorry
Level up.
for being late, guys. Sorry, fashionably late. Thank you.
Let's take a picture with the audience. We did last time, Alvaro, remember?
Yeah.
Your magic selfie? Well, you don't have your phone.
Thank you. Okay. What are we doing? Go. Okay. Come.
Raise your hands.
Wow, but I'm gonna do a video. Pictures.
Yeah, we're doing the video. Raise your hands.
We're doing a reel right now.
Going live on Instagram.
That's how you go viral. All right.
Let's go viral.
Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Amazing. Thank you all. Thank you. And next on stage, the reason I'm here with these talented people, the reason I am in Miami, the reason I am in Florida and absolutely love this community, is this magic tweet that was made a couple years ago. So welcome on stage, Mayor Soares. We're honored to have you today to discuss the exciting future of Miami and the future of America. Thank you.
Hello. Got good mics. Everybody drink their Cuban coffee? No? We need some cortadito, cafecito.
Cafecito,
Right.
please, in the
Awesome.
room. Francis, thank you so much for making it for the second
course.
time, supporting our community, the community of innovators. As I just mentioned, your tweet was very transformative for many founders in tech specifically, just like myself when I moved here in Miami. I moved here for the tweet, but I stayed for the community. My question is, what would be, you think, the next big thing that Florida and Miami will attract even more talent?
Well, I was going to say Leo Messi, but yesterday's news was that Jeff Bezos was confirming that he was moving to Miami. So
Here you go.
I don't know if
I
you
thought
guys
you're
saw
gonna
that.
you would mention that SBF was guilty,
No.
announced guilty.
No, look, I think when you have someone like Leo Messi or you have someone like Jeff Bezos, who are people that could literally live anywhere in the world and are literally doing their due diligence on where they want to live, understanding that at that level, at their level, at the Leo Messi level, at the Jeff Bezos level, their most precious asset is not the marginal dollar in their bank account. Their most precious asset is their most finite asset, which we all share with them, by the way, which is time. And so when you think about how do you allocate your time, that limited resource that you have, when you have the ability to allocate it in any way that you want to, essentially, because you have no other limitations, then it becomes interesting when people at that level are picking Miami over every other place on the planet, over Saudi, over Barcelona in Spain, in terms of Leo, in terms of Jeff. I mean, anywhere in the world he could live, and he's decided he wants to live with his family here in Miami. So I think what that means is that the ecosystem that we're creating, the community that you mentioned, that we're creating is a community that values your most precious asset, which is your time, meaning that we want to give you the best return on your time. We want to make sure that if you live in our community, you're safe. We want to make sure that if you live in our community, you have an opportunity to prosper. We want to make sure that if you live in our community, you have cultural activities that you can do that are going to enrich your soul, or public spaces that you can visit that are going to make you feel at peace, right? We want to create the best ecosystem. I've been toying with this, in the charter of the city, my title is Chief Executive Officer, but I've been thinking about changing it to Chief Ecosystem Officer, because I think Chief Executive Officer means you're running a company, which we are. We're running $1.5 billion company with 4,500 employees and 4 labor unions. But we're doing something much more than that. We're trying to create an ecosystem, a community, right, which is what keeps people here. The tweet attracted people because it was such a counter narrative to what was happening in America at the time. But the community, like you said, is what keeps people here. The ecosystem is what attracts people and keeps people here. So I was born here. I'm the first mayor of Miami in the history of Miami that was born in the city of Miami, which I think is a wonderful evolution for our city. But it also means that I'm fundamentally tied to my city. I'm inextricably connected to the soul of my city. And so that's what guides me every single day in the limited time that I have to serve all of you, my bosses.
Woo! Definitely. We need big applause here. As I mentioned, the ecosystem and the community is really powerful thing to people to stick to the location they move, because many of us moved here also because of the crypto ecosystem growing here. And then, of course, with the crypto winter, you would expect many of those entrepreneurs to leave both the industry and the state, but it's not happening, fortunately. Given your presidential experience, what do you think now about the regulation in America, both in AI and crypto? Do you have a new perspective? Have you learned something that we need to change in America to pursue this innovation and not let Saudi or China or other states to win?
This answer is going to get me in trouble. We need to change our leaders. And specifically, and specifically, there's a generational issue. When you talk about some of these other places that you mentioned across the world, you see that their leadership has already changed from the boomer generation to the next generation, right? And with that, and I saw this in my city, in Miami, I took over for a last generation mayor, and you get a 30 to 40 year process improvement overnight. It's the only time that happens. The only time that a country or a city or an ecosystem gets that kind of process improvement overnight or immediately is when you have a generational change, because you are literally going from 30 years of experiences to 30 years earlier of experiences. My son is 9 years old. I'm 46. My son can do things that I cannot do. He understands things that I do not understand. He games, he's in these worlds, and he understands their sophistications in ways that I can't even fathom. That's not a disrespect to me. I don't take that personal. I don't get offended by that. I'm actually proud of him, right? I'm proud of the fact that his generation is already embarking on a journey that is disconnected from mine. That's advancement. That's progress. And I expect there to be a day, hopefully not in the too distant future, when I can pass that baton to him and his generation and say, okay, you guys are in charge now. You guys lead the way. But when you talk about generational technology like AI and blockchain and crypto, decentralized finance, fractionalized ownership, cryptocurrencies that are not tethered to fiat currencies, all those concepts are this generation concepts. And you're not going to have, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, you're not going to have intelligent regulation of concepts that people do not understand. For you to regulate something intelligently, you first have to understand it. And that is generational, unfortunately. And my dad is a really smart guy. He has 2 graduate degrees from Harvard. He's an engineer, really smart. And he struggles with it. And he's 74. Again, brilliant guy, probably the smartest person that I know, significantly more intelligent than I am, way more intelligent than I will ever be. And yet there are concepts that I can grasp easier simply because I grew up with them. And I'm not bound by certain concepts. Like the concept of fiat is a concept that his generation grew up with. They cannot, I don't think they can fathom a world outside of that. Just like before that was the gold standard, right? The fact that there may be a currency in the future that is not tethered to a particular country is not particularly foreign to me. It's not like a weird concept. It's a particularly normal concept. It just is very, very strange to the prior generation. They feel a loss of power. They feel a loss of, and from my perspective, I feel a sense of empowerment, which is interesting that there is that dynamic. So, and it almost falls completely on generational lines when I talk to people who really talk about the prominence of the dollar and dollar dominance and why it's so important for the United States to continue to have the dominant currency in the world. And for me, I think it's more important for the U.S. to have the dominant economy of the world, not necessarily the dominant currency of the world. I think currency is just a means of exchange. It can be anything. And I think the less human intervention that there is, the better, because you're seeing human intervention in currencies and in budgets be a very highly manipulative factor that creates oftentimes more detriments than it creates benefits, in my opinion.
Speaking of generational change, in 2021, 10% of home buyers utilize cryptocurrency for their down payments. And of course, we're speaking about the new generation here. And I agree with you that in the leadership, at the head of the United States, innovation, we should have those leaders understanding the new generation, listening to the new generation, data-driven, number-driven, just like you are. You always speak facts and numbers, and we definitely appreciate it because you're leading your endeavors as a chief executive officer of a startup or as a chief ecosystem startup. Since you touched upon the cryptocurrency being the new norm, and we don't have to be tied to fiat or national currencies, we're seeing now that El Salvador and Taiwan are legalizing Bitcoin as a legal tender. We're also seeing that potentially the US government will finally approve the Bitcoin ETFs. It's coming by the end of the year, the latest in January. What do you expect in terms of trends in 2024, short term, but also long term, where the cryptocurrency and blockchain innovation is going to?
Well, you can count me in the 10%, first of all, that have bought a property with crypto as a down payment. Yes.
Woo!
I announced that, I think, at the last Bitcoin conference.
And you still receive your salary partly in Bitcoin?
I do not anymore receive my salary in Bitcoin, only because when I took out that mortgage, it triggered my direct payments.
Gotcha.
So
but you bought the house utilizing
correct.
cryptocurrency.
So
here you go.
Most of it is in that purchase. But that was what I wanted to do, which was take it to the next level. To say, look, how do I create another use case, right? I'm getting paid in Bitcoin. I can use it. And how can I make it more functional? So I got a mortgage on a property, an investment property that I bought with a down payment in crypto, in Bitcoin, actually. And so I think that is demonstrating the stability of Bitcoin. It's demonstrating the marketability of Bitcoin, and it's demonstrating the utility of Bitcoin. And so I think that's part of it. I think the biggest issue we have right now, and it's not just a crypto issue, although crypto, because of the news that some of the news that you referenced, is struggling a little bit. It's really that the venture capital pipeline has dried up, right? And so it's not just Bitcoin per se or a blockchain. It's a general drying up of the VC pipeline, and a lot of it, by the way, has gone to artificial intelligence. But if you look at artificial intelligence, is a great metaphor for Bitcoin or for crypto or for blockchain, because if you think about it, artificial intelligence right now is the hot thing. It's what everybody's investing in. It's what everyone believes is going to transform the world, and it will. But it's been around since the 1980s, and people don't remember that it took 40 years for artificial intelligence to become intelligent, right? To have the certain level of functionality that it has now, so that it can actually give back to us in the form of actionable help. Now the fear, of course, is that it will go crazy, right? That it will be so powerful that it will overwhelm us. The most interesting thing that I've learned about artificial intelligence, and I go back to crypto, is that it's constrained by energy. And I would have never necessarily, maybe unintelligently, put one thing together with the other. But the most sophisticated AI technology right now is not going to be available until the energy that it's needed to power it is first available. So it's an interesting correlation that I did not know existed. So that's another barrier there. But, and by the way, there are countries that are figuring it out, right? And that will figure it out by the time that technology, I think, is available in the next 5 to 10 years, generative AI. But on blockchain, I just think we're going to be, with every bear market or every winter, as you called it, it's really kind of I hate to say this, but it's a little bit of a Darwinian process where the strong survive, the companies that are actually revenue driven, the companies that have great technology, and it's not just a great idea, but it's actually a great, executed idea, are the ones that are going to survive. I mean, I think what happens when you have whether it's in the internet bubble or in this latest money creation bubble, where you have kind of like what Alan Greenspan would call irrational exuberance, right? Where you have people chasing ideas as opposed to chasing companies that are based on the more fundamentals. When that money retreats, all that happens is you go back to the fundamentals, right? Which is revenue, revenue, profit, that kind of stuff, which is kind of funny because for most people, it should always be about the fundamentals.
Fantastic. I think that we have already observed 2 crypto winters or 3 crypto winters and 2 bull runs. Now we're observing the first AI bull run. So maybe both of those transformative technologies will go in cycles from now on. We actually will have Kathy Wood later today speaking about those both platforms as the next most transformative technologies of the future. I'd like the audience to also have a chance to ask a question for the Mayor Soares here. So if you have a question, please come over. I will give you a mic. Mayor Soares, what do you think will be impact of AI over cities and governance?
I think it's going to be massive. When you think about a lot of the decisions that are made, particularly in our planning department, our zoning department, our permitting department, those are often repetitive, human constrained, bottleneck constrained decision making. Our employees, government employees, typically work from 9 to 5. We don't have the same ability to give them incentives and bonuses that you do in the private sector, to raise their salaries in conformity with the market or their pipeline or whatever. So it's harder for us to be flexible. What I believe will happen in 10 years or less is that those 3 or 4 departments that I mentioned will all be predominantly driven by AI. And what they'll do is a computer will aggregate all the decisions that were made for the last 10 or 15 years, which probably encompasses 99% of all the decisions that are needed to be made, and you'll have that readily available, and so you'll cut down response time and expense. Probably, my guess is at least 80% on each factor. 80% cost reduction, 80% time reduction. Whenever you have a disruption of that size, it's massive, and there's no one. If any client ever comes to you or someone's pitching you a product and says to you, I can save you 80% of your cost and 80% of the time, there isn't a human being on this planet that will say no to that. There just isn't. So I think that's a massive disruption that will happen in the next 10 years in government across the country.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Well, David Soto's here. Nice talking to you. It's an honor.
It's an honor, Mike.
I wanted to ask, what are your next 3 moves to implementing AI within the state?
The next 3 moves?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think like one of the mistakes that happened with crypto was there wasn't regulation in place. So I would advocate for, responsible regulation doesn't stifle innovation. So there's a delicate balance between regulation that protects consumers and protects the public at large versus regulation that stifles innovation. And people say, you know what, we're not going to innovate here. We're going to go somewhere else. So I think that is a very delicate balance. That has to be number one. I think number two is it's talent driven. So I think I would love to see, maybe, I don't know if I can accomplish it in the next 2 years, which is what I have left on my term. But I'd like to see at least an announcement or an advancement where we're creating the best technical school in the world here in Miami to train AI engineers, right? That would be a dream. And we're talking to people about it. So it's not completely in the realm of fiction, right? And number three, I would say there's, we talk about AI as an abstract concept, but I've learned that it's very physical in the sense that it requires significant computing power and significant energy, right? These are physical constraints. So we obviously want to have the infrastructure to make sure that AI can grow and we can lead in that realm.
Thank you. Speaking of attracting talent, there will be another huge conference happening in April, Emerge Americas, launched by Melissa Medina, and it will be the 10th anniversary of this conference that normally has attracted over 20,000 people. Also, last week we had ETH Miami Hackathon with leading engineers in blockchain coming here with AI tracks. So we're attracting AI engineers as well, and more hackathons are happening in Miami. And we always appreciate your help being at the conferences like this one, coming, talking to the community, hearing about the ideas. So we have one or two more questions. Okay, we'll do two.
Hi, Mr. Suarez. My name is Zed Castro.
Hi, sir.
And I have a very quick question. On your opinion, realistically speaking, how do you see the real estate market in the Dade County in the next 15 years?
15 years. Are you from Brazil?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So here's the way I would say it. We an analysis of our zoning code. So we have what's called a form-based zoning code, meaning in every building, including this one, there are invisible boxes that stand on top of those buildings. So the building that we're in right now, the Hyatt, we just did a deal with a developer. This building is coming down, not right now. And
hope not.
Yeah. And in its place will be a large development with a lot of common area space, park space, etc. So that analysis has yielded us a number. The number is 10x. So we have the ability to grow 10 times larger than what we are right now without changing a thing, without changing those invisible boxes. So every time a building like this goes down, a larger one goes up in its place. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So my prognosis for the city in the next 15 years is if we follow the 3 rules that I've articulated, which I think are very simple. Keep taxes low. We lowered taxes to the lowest level in history. We grew 14% last year. Keep people safe. If the year were to end today, we would have the lowest homicide rate in the history, in recorded history of Miami this year. Okay?
Very good job.
And lean into innovation, which is part 3. Create high-paying jobs. Try to help people become prosperous, whether it's through education, whether it's through living, in affordable housing, transportation, etc. Give people an opportunity to be successful. If you follow those 3 simple rules and you have a 10x growth envelope, my prediction for the next 15 years is that Miami will be one of the most significant cities in the world. That's my hope.
And safest also.
For sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Pleasure to speak to you. My name's Austin Murata.
Hey, how you
I have
doing?
a question for you.
Yeah.
Being that, excuse me, being that you utilized Bitcoin in a transaction which was made to present the opportunity to all of Florida and Miami. How do you see yourself maybe advertising the use of Bitcoin in future transactions to get the state more accustomed and adapted to the concept of it, which translates to buyers and sellers being more comfortable?
I think we've done a lot. Our city. We were the first ones to put the Satoshi's white paper on our website in, I think, the world. We were the first ones to allow for our employees to be paid in Bitcoin through Strike, which is how I was getting paid. And then I took it a step further and bought a property with it, with the Bitcoin that I had accumulated, right? To just go another step. I think that the city as a government has done a lot. I think now it's up to the private sector, really. I think the private sector has to start delivering on some of the technologies that we know exist and just have to be put into practice at scale. For example, every single restaurant right now, or every single consumer point of sale place, everyone should be able to take Bitcoin. Every single one, right? You should be able to have your credit card. And I think at some point in the near future, you'll be able to have your bank account, and you'll be able to choose, hey, this will be your Bitcoin card, this will be your debit card or whatever. And you can just pay at a point of sale. So that's functionality at scale in consumer purchases. I also like to see soon, and I know it's happening, fractionalization, right? When you talk about fractionalization, this building that we're talking about, this new Hyatt that's going to come in its place, it's going to be financed with two different things: debt and equity. That's it, right? A bank loan and equity, who are people who are risking their capital to diminish the debt to equity ratio so that the banks have a safe loan. That's how you finance every building in, basically in the world, right? But we've seen through crowdfunding and we've seen through fractionalization that it would be wonderful if someone who lives in an impoverished area could invest $1,000 in the debt of this building, because they're going to get a better return than if they put their money potentially in a CD or in a savings account. And if there's liquidity, they can also trade out of that position as well. So they're not stuck for the 30 years or 40 years or 50 years that the loan matures. So I think that's all going to happen. I think it's really up to the private sector now. We will continue to try to be supportive and legislate in ways, like I said, that balance innovation with innovation. We don't want to get out of balance one way or the other, right? Not too pro regulation and then you stifle innovation, and not too light on the regulation and then you have a situation like what we're seeing right now that just unfolded.
So we'll have one more question, but before that, speaking of the private sector, this is the room to meet the doers in the private sectors. We'll have a pitch competition shortly with 7 VCs backing prop tech startups doing stuff in AI and blockchain. Propy is doing title for transactions in Bitcoin and not only. How many crypto certified agents are in the room? Here you go. All those agents know how to accept cryptocurrency in real estate. We have 3,000 agents that are certified. They know how to NFT home, how to accept cryptocurrency in their transactions, how to close a title. And during the pitch competition, we have 2 companies doing fractional ownership, so we can sell this building in fractions and tokens. We'll have 1 company that is building mortgage on crypto, on blockchain. Now, one last question.
Hi, Mayor Suarez.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you so much for your comments, your thoughtful leadership of Miami. I have a hypothetical. If you were a single issue voter and your issue was Web3 crypto advancement in Miami, who would you endorse for president?
I hate hypotheticals.
Ooh.
If I was a single issue voter, and I can tell you who I wouldn't endorse for president. No, I'll tell you this. I'm surprised at some level and saddened at some level that I don't think there's anyone that's really emerged as that single issue voter candidate that I can come up with. Because I haven't really heard anyone talk at depth about Web3 or crypto in the field, to be honest. There's a couple of people that have taken some pretty, what I would consider safe positions, like saying they're against central bank digital currencies. I mean, who is in favor
We
of
know
that?
who you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's in favor of that. I mean, I don't know anybody in favor. Maybe some people are in favor of it. It's a scary proposition because you don't want a central government to have like a ledger of what everybody has at any given moment. So that's the big problem with that. And I don't know that you can ever overcome that in terms of people feeling that that could be done anonymously, right? So I think that's a really basic position. I haven't seen anybody take any risky positions on it. I think part of the issue is particularly what Natalie said at the beginning, which is as the campaign started, you had a crypto winner and some controversy happening. So if the election would have taken place 2 years ago, I promise you, you would have 3 or 4 candidates right now vying to be the most pro-crypto presidential candidate. But because of the controversy, you know, we try to avoid controversy as elected officials. We avoid it like a virus, right? To the extent that we can, when we can, right? Because we want to be liked fundamentally. I mean, I think at the basic level, you serve because you want to do good and you want people to like the fact that you're doing good for them on their behalf. So you try to get away from things that people are not happy about in a given moment. Unless you're someone like me that's like a true believer, very passionate, and believes despite the moment that these are technologies that are here forever for me, right? And so it's just a matter of getting through some of the difficulties, which as she said, there have been multiple booms and busts, right? And we've seen that throughout the entire course of Bitcoin, for example, or a variety of different cryptocurrencies, or even the internet. I tell people when I was asked in national interviews a lot about, you know, what do you think about this moment and crypto and this, that, and the other? And I would say, well, I said, you know, do you remember a company called Napster? Do you remember a company called Netscape? Right? These are companies that we all were familiar with. They were the beginning of Safari and Google, and they were the beginning of Apple Music and Spotify. I mean, those companies did not survive, but their technologies changed the world. You see what I'm saying? So it's apparent to me that although there are some companies that are not going to survive this moment, the technologies will change the world.
On that good note, technology changing the world. Thank you so much, Mesores. Let's take a selfie with the community.
Which one?
Raise your hands. Woo! Thank you so much.
For the wise guy that said that I had a great job of avoiding the question, there is no candidate right now that is pro-crypto. So there's no one worth endorsing.
Thank you, Francis. And next on stage, we're having a prop tech pitch battle. Speaking of those use cases that the mayor Soros just mentioned, we will be talking about fractional ownership, mortgage on chain. The pictures can go here on the right side, by the way. Could you just take it? Okay. The judges, could you please come over here and sit down in the first table? Okay, judges, please come over on the stage. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have 9 companies pitching their transformative ideas, and outstanding venture capitalists, investors here judging the startups. Okay, final pictures with the Mayor Soares.
So we're gonna have a group, to prepare for our panel. So Christian is gonna moderate. You okay with that? Or no, you don't want somebody? So what do you want me to tell him? You just arrived. So why don't you then? Yeah, I'll tell him you'll moderate, and then if he wants to participate, he can. He didn't think he wanted to participate, but I'll tell him that you said it's okay if he wants. Okay, all right.
Let's wait 2-3 minutes. I guess everybody wants to take a picture. They should have done it. So everything's clear on the judging? Oh, phone. Okay, so what we want to do is put numbers and then make a total. Like you calculate your total, so in the end it's easy to okay. One is so the highest number is kind of the winning. Think on a little bit. Yeah. The winner. Yeah. Announce everybody as far as
For the bios before we get started?
Yeah.
I think we just let everybody do it themselves because I didn't convince me
like how often.
Yeah, why don't you do it because I don't have that.
Whatever. We never. Winners, right? And then do the total in the end for each, so that it's easy for us in the end to. Oh, wonderful! Those guys. Well, they were the winners. I know, they were the winners. Yeah. Sorry.
Is there a place where do we see the pitch? And they're gonna.
Do they have decks or is it all just okay? Because we can't see that. If we just move, well, that's what I wanted to be on the table, and I can move the table. Can we just move our chairs forward so that we can see? I mean, it's only 2 minutes. Maybe just listen. Well, if we're gonna move, we need to make it quickly. We can move the string. Yeah. Is it convenient if we turn the string here? Yeah. So 5 is the highest number. 5 is the highest, and then please calculate the total. Total for each participant. So. Just a second. Excuse me. Can we turn the screen over there so the judge can see the screen? Can we move the screen to turn it? Yeah, is it hard? Yeah. Not in front, just like that.
Is there any video facing the stage so we can actually fix our slides?
We will turn the screen here. Okay, final touches. We will turn the screen so the judges can see the decks and the pitch competition. Are we ready? So, we're starting the pitch competition, and there is a way for all of you to win rewards in Propy tokens. Remember I mentioned you about the gamification? We will show you a QR code how you can vote for the startups here. Here you go. And you can also participate and vote for the best founders presenting here today. So welcome on stage our dear investors and leaders in the prop tech, AI, and Web3. These are our dear judges. Ariana Perea, she's the organizer of this whole pitch competition. And she did tremendous jobs on finding, sourcing the founders and the companies and organizing the whole system. Then we have Jenna Pilgrim from Coin Fund, the leading crypto VC. Tony Jimenez from Medina Ventures. Jed Breed from Breed VC. Jakob Stepanian from BDO USA. Maria Derchi from Florida Funders. And Irvin Goodeye from Freddie Mac. Sorry, and David Chichester from Florida Funders and Seed Funders. Thank you. Let's get started. Where is our first funder? Tokenized assets is the first one. Let's have the deck on. Each founder will have only 2 minutes to pitch. So it will be very, very intense session. Come. Just a second. Let's have the deck on.
Hello. Am I facing you or the audience? I don't have a clicker. Am I? Pardon me? Okay. My name is Michelle Lilly, and I'm the CEO of Tokenized Assets and the first Black woman in the world to hold a master's degree in blockchain and digital currency. Tokenized Assets, thank you. Tokenized, you're taking up my time though, but Tokenized Assets is the premier platform for fractional ownership through tokenization. And we are solving, as Mayor Suarez just mentioned, one of the problems with lots of people, millions of people want to use real estate as a vehicle to create wealth. However, they've been locked out, whether it be because of capital or whether it be because of credit. And there are asset owners that are looking for alternative ways and solutions to provide funding as well as liquidity in the marketplace. Tokenization solves this. By lowering the barrier, as Mayor Suarez mentioned, of financial inclusion, lowering the barrier of entry, creating a larger pool of investors for funding for asset owners. Right now, there are projected to be 3.5 billion new global micro investors that are looking to enter the market through tokenization. And that creates trillions, multi-trillions of dollars that will come into this industry. Tokenization currently has a working MVP. We are currently tokenizing a development in West 11, one of the condos in West 11. We have strategic partnerships globally, Forbes Global Properties being one of them. We are looking to launch our platform in Q1 of 2024. We are launching our app. We are adding collectibles and exotics and doing international expansion on the marketplace. There are many players currently in the market right now, but what differentiates tokenized assets is that we are building a global community of investors. We are highly educating them as well as doing live and virtual events as well. The investment opportunity, we are seeking $10 million in funding for a 20% equity in the marketplace. We've currently raised $1.6 million to date. Please join us on this journey. Thank you. Do I stand here?
Thank you so much. That was amazing. The first fractional ownership startup during the speech competition. And let's get the next deck up. The next presenter is actually one of the winners of ETH Miami Hackathon that happened last week during the weekend. So you can appreciate that there is a team that has created a whole transformative idea within a weekend, and they built an MVP of this product. This is a use case that we actually mentioned a couple of times during this summit. So I can't wait to present. I'm almost starting to pitch now the idea. The deck will be shortly here. And this founder has arrived for the ETH Miami from Mexico. She already participated in one of the panels. Here you go, Finza and Mai, the founder of Finza.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Well, first of all, thank you all for coming. Basically, this is our project. No, I'm kidding. That's not our project. We are Finza, and we are a step in decentralization of real estate, unlocking home ownership with crypto, where it's your future, your digital assets, and our DeFi platform. Basically, what we are looking for is a blockchain-based DeFi mortgage where we can leverage the smart contracts in order to make lending to borrowers and actually pledge their crypto assets as collateral. This way, we have the collateral being saved, and the way that we're actually finding ourselves with liquidity, since we don't have the capital, is through liquidity pools. These liquidity pools are going to be open for all of you to invest, and basically, by the time that we are holding the collateral and the title of the property, we're making sure that everybody has a due date. I'm sorry, this is the wrong Canva. Okay, so welcome for the future of real estate and home ownership. Basically, what we're doing right now is thanks to partnering with Propy, we created, developed, and deployed this smart contract. And now you can actually ask for a mortgage through our platform with collateral and crypto. The team is built on a minority, LGBTQ members, Latin people that are just really eager to make this possible. And I hope that you can lend and borrow and revolutionize this industry with us in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And the next founder, let's get the deck on. Which one is the next? The next one is Hound AI. Please welcome. Let's have the deck on. Welcome. How do you feel?
Feels great to be here. Okay, do I have the clicker? I think she took the clicker with her. No? Okay. Well, while I got you here, my name's Danny. I'm the founder of Hound AI. It is an autonomous real estate agent that you can customize to work for you. So let me get started. Again, Danny Meiselman, co-founder of a real estate brokerage that has 75 agents. And I got sick of watching them just stay in the office. I wanted them outside, closing deals in the field. And so I tried to take away a lot of those tasks that they had, which were going through leads, wasting time with bad leads, sending properties, doing research, setting up appointments. We developed an AI that does all those things for them. So I'll show you how it works. We have a few agents using it right now at our brokerage. Let's get this thing moving. So Malia is one of our agents. She customized her pink, but she also kind of customized the tonality, gave it information about her so it could act on her behalf when it's talking to her clients, her leads. And it kind of looks like this. So as you can see, it sends properties in chat. It's lightning fast. And then if they like the properties, they can save it. And what you get from that conversation is a really detailed lead. And you can ask the AI all kinds of cool questions like, show me something with higher ceilings, or I think it skipped one, but you can ask it, hey, I want to see a property near some nightlife. Whatever you're into, you can talk to the AI. It's going to be a real estate agent for you. And it's really cool. It's an interactive experience. And what you get out of that is this screen, which is your lead, which is a more detailed lead than you've ever been able to get before. It tells you sentiment. It ranks them by priority based on all the conversations it has with all the leads. So you basically put this link in your LinkedIn, in your Instagram, on your TikTok, whatever it might be, and all the leads can be filtered to your AI, and all you have to do is check out your schedule and see who you're meeting, the properties they liked. You'll know all about them, and then you go on those showings. So just really quickly, if there's 1.5 million real estate agents in the US, we take 100 a month from 20% of that. That's $360 million a year, not including the data or the transactions. And that's basically it for my time. I'll be outside at our table for a little bit with the computer if you guys want to walk through it a little bit. We're finishing our seed round. We're halfway through it. It's $5 million, and we're a little past halfway. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic. By the way, many of those founders have tables outside, so go there, check them out. Some of them are early stage, some of them most of them actually have products and revenue generation. The next founder, let's see the deck. Okay, it's ready. This is an amazing company that also it's the winner of the AI track of ETH Miami Hackathon last week. They built all this idea within a weekend. Unbelievable. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tad. This is
Patrick. Nice to meet you.
And we built a hobby gear rental platform called Hobby Flow. So by hobby goods, we're talking bicycles, paddle boards, turntables, golf clubs, etc. Hobby goods globally is a $200 billion market annually. In Florida alone, it's a $3.4 billion market. The problem we identified is that fiat currency does not natively support escrow, the same type of escrow you would use for purchasing real estate, for example. If you're going to go into an escrow agreement over a guitar rental or a paddleboard rental, using traditional legal processes is overkill. You're going to spend more money in legal fees and lawyers than you'll get out of the deal. So we've built a solution that brings the benefits of traditional escrow to these everyday products, and we do this with a combination of blockchain and artificial intelligence. How does it work? The renter and the owner of the product will agree upon a price for the rental and a security deposit. If the deal falls through, our escrow process will fairly redistribute the funds locked up in escrow.
HobbyFlow accepts most cryptocurrency tokens, such as Propy token or USDC. We would like to thank Andrei Lemashevsky and the ETH Miami core team as we won at the ETH Miami Hackathon. And we'd also like to thank Natalia with Propy for hosting us today.
Yep. Make sure you attend ETH Miami next year, ETH Miami 2024.
So here's how HobbyFlow works. You can go to HobbyFlow. When you enter the application, you'll be presented with this form that allows you to create escrow agreements. All you have to do is specify an ID for the buyer, an ID for the seller, an ID for the arbiter, and this 32-character ID that represents your contract. We generate this 32-character ID that represents the contract via a hashing algorithm. Your contract can be as long as it needs to be. It doesn't matter if it's 20 pages, 40 pages, 100 pages. It's going to get transformed into this unique 32-character string you see below, and that's what we store on the blockchain. After you create your escrow agreement, this is what you will see. You'll see a widget that shows you how much cryptocurrency is locked up in the contract, along with the roles associated with this agreement, and you have two actions you can take, one for entering arbitration and one for withdrawing money in the escrow agreement. If you enter arbitration, this is what the AI resolution process looks like. You present to the AI the terms of the agreement you signed, and you can rehash that to verify it's the same hash that was agreed upon when you created the escrow agreement. The renter will present their argument, and the owner of the object will present their argument. Taking this information into account, the AI will generate a resolution to redistribute the funds fairly, according to what the AI believes is fair. And that's how our solution works. This is our team. And thank you so much. We are HobbyFlow.
Thank you. Isn't that amazing? Working both on AI and blockchain and how those two technologies converge. The next founder, Homesy, the founder of Homesy. The deck is here. Let's get started. Welcome.
Thank you, Natalia. Hi there, everybody. My name is Craig Bromberg. I'm the founder and CEO of Homesy. Homesy was started when I was editor-in-chief of AOL. Before that, I was at mortgage.com. Before that, I worked for many media companies. And what I found throughout my entire experience and what my team found, who also created Fizbo.com for Tribune Company and sold Charity Buzz to Todd Wagner. What we found was that people are extremely nervous and how do we make this work? There we go. About their home discovery process. Home discovery today is truly broken. The listings themselves are really problematic. They're owned by the brokers, owned and copyrighted. There's no consumer editorial rights. There's limited data and reach and detail. In fact, the reach is owned by the broker and by Zillow. And there's no direct buyer-seller interaction, and it makes it difficult to do any apples-to-apples comps. So Homesy, very simply, is a home discovery platform for digital natives, people who actually feel like they can do what they do on Facebook or LinkedIn. They create data about their homes, and they do it through a structured interface that's actually very simple. This is live at homesy.us, and they go and create real-time interactions in a feed. They go through room by room. And why rooms? Rooms are where we put the value of our homes. And so when you start to think about rooms, there are about 10 billion assets that are actually not counted by the MLS. 10 billion. That incorporates not just the rooms like your garage and your gazebo and your home theater and your home attic and all the rooms of your house, kitchen, living room, basic things, but the basic amenities in your room, right? Like the closets and the windows and the outlets. Does anybody count them? No. There are 10 billion missing assets today that we need to actually get a hold of so that people can do the kinds of apple-to-apples comp that they want. And here's the thing. All of this is on-chain. We're working with Polkadot. We just came out of the Polkadot incubator. And Polkadot has a very interoperable blockchain that works with all these different parachains. We're working with unique networks and Zeitgeist for predictive modeling. And so what happens is the more you post, the more you actually get reach for your home, and you get rewards both on platform and CRM. We're going to crack the chicken and egg problem of how we grow this by actually going with on-the-ground people in markets, top frothy millennial markets. And we're pretty much the only company that's out there in this space that's focused on the network space. We're raising $2 million, and how does this thing keep going? There we go. To accelerate our time to product market fit. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. And we have how many more? 4 more. The next one is off market. Please join us. The founder of Off Market, Isabella, welcome on stage. You have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. So off-market are real estate opportunities that cannot be found on the MLS. For some reason, my clicker doesn't work. I'm clicking it. I am clicking it and it doesn't work. Can I get some assistance here? Thank you. Time is clicking. Okay, thank you. This is the last slide. Spread. Let's just try it. That's the last one. Okay. All right. Thank you. I hope that's for good luck. So off-market are opportunities that cannot be found on the MLS. In order to find them, you have to engage in multiple informal channels, such as word of mouth, networking, or multiple platforms. Sellers like them for foreclosure and for divorce situations. They're also used by celebrities or high net worth individuals because of the privacy reasons. Buyers like them because they don't dilute their return on investment. Agents use them to collect double commissions. They can also build trust and credibility within your client network because you bring them these hidden and untapped opportunities. So we are a marketplace and networking platform that helps buyers, sellers, investors, brokers, and agents make more money, save time, and headache. We do it by bringing the entire off-market ecosystem under one roof. The way we do things differently, you can digitize and monetize your search requests. That way you can connect with the sellers directly. In over 60 days, we have brought over $600 million in off-market search requests and listings onto the platform, and we are just getting started. Off-market is a tremendous opportunity. It's a $100 billion market. 1 in 10 real estate transactions happen off-market, and we are going to increase that market share. So in terms of competition, we are offering a suite of tools. We are catering to residential and commercial real estate. We offer direct connections. We help you digitize your search requests, and we also offer privacy features. On top of that, we are implementing fintech and AI tools that will help you transact in an efficient and seamless way. So we have an incredible team that has delivered products for recognizable brands. Myself, I have been an investor, broker, and agent for over 10 years. I have completed courses at Harvard and Wharton to scale this business. And I have also graduated from the Miami Accelerator that was backed by Francis Suarez and Venture Miami. We are getting national recognition. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was powerful and very needed product in the today's market, right? The next founder is, we'll see who is the next. Real Grader, come over. We'll have the deck shortly. We probably, I'll show eight. Okay. We probably won't have a full-on panel as we'll on venture capital as we're running late. Unfortunately, let's just give the opportunity for the founders to present, and the winners of the pitch competition will be announced at 5 p.m. during the closing remarks. Welcome on stage.
Thanks. All right, over 10 billion paper business cards get printed every year, even though we talk about all this technology, right? Now, 88% of business cards go in the garbage in less than 2 weeks. So what are we doing here? We've actually invented the digital business card for real estate. Wouldn't it be nice if you could exchange information instantly with the people that you meet in this room today? The Instacard is your digital business card for 2024 and beyond. This is different than your typical digital business card. This has video integration, deep real estate compliance integration, AI, and social media integration. All your contacts finally saved in one place. All your social media finally put in one place. And our AI audits your digital presence on 181 data points across the web. This is a $148 billion market. And we've got a go-to-market strategy. We've been working with the MLSs and the associations. We've been working with brands and influencers and agents. So right here in Miami, we've worked with the Miami Association of Realtors. Every member of Miami has a digital card. So if you're an agent here, you have a digital card. 88,000 agents at EXP all have our product. The California Association just launched this year, 200,000 agents. And we've got over 600,000 digital cards created for the industry. We partnered with the National Association of Realtors. They invested in our company, and now we're accelerating our growth nationwide to 1.6 million realtors. Our growth in the past 3 years, 559%. This year alone, we did 4.5 million in revenue, and we're raising 1.5 million, and we've raised 1.2 million so far. So don't be thrown in the trash. Scan this QR code. Let's connect, because you're one connection away from a meaningful relationship.
That was so on time, so precise. Thank you. And the next company is Riento. Welcome.
I'm the clicker, no? Which button is? Okay, sorry. Well, I'm gonna put here better. Hi, everyone. Fernando Ors, president of Rental. After decades managing syndicated investment funds, making rich the richer, we decided better. Let's make real estate investment accessible for everyone just using blockchain. In order to do so, we needed to solve three main problems: high down payments, difficulty to find good opportunities, and the usual long investment blocking periods from 2 to 5 years. Nowadays, if you got internet access or a smartphone, with just $100, you can invest, you can access personalized investments, you can have monthly passive incomes, and first time in history, you can invest and disinvest with just 2 clicks. The size of the opportunity, according with Boston Consulting Group, is $3 trillion. And regarding main milestones achieved up to now, in just 3 years, we have become to a multinational with presence in 3 continents. We increased 10 times revenues and achieved positive EBITDA last year. And the platform is already trusted by 11,000 users from more than 65 countries, with an anti-recession business model and returns that are clearly outperforming those of the main indexes or other alternative investments. We got the world's first tokenized co-living, the largest tokenized co-working, the first tokenization in Mexico, the first tokenization here in Key Biscayne, Florida. In terms of scalability, the number of our investors continue skyrocketing with just word of mouth since we haven't invested marketing yet. The competitive landscape, we are one of the few companies who got this Web3 DAO approach under the Security Exchange Commission law, by the way, and the only one with an utility token that has increased more than 100% in price since the IDO. We are also the first company who is testing artificial intelligence and machine learning to build heat maps of opportunities. The team got extensive experience in blockchain, consulting, real estate. And among our partners, there are several famous athletes, CEOs, investment funds. And finally, we are especially proud of being recognized by consulting firms such as Deloitte as the main player in residential tokenization. As you can see, we are creating an inclusive financial system accessible by anyone. We hope you join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was fantastic. And the last founder, the last show agents, welcome on stage. The clicker is here. The deck will be live in a second, hopefully. Here it is.
All right. Hello, everyone. Have you ever felt the need to be in two places at once? Yeah? I'm sure. A superpower we wish we all had. My name is Nadia Davis, and I am the daughter of a real estate broker. Over the past 20 years, I cannot tell you how many times my father has missed important events, family gatherings, or even after school pickup because of his work. Realtors struggle with work-life balance. According to the National Association of Realtors, half of US realtors are working up to 80 hours per week and are spending at least a quarter of that time just showing properties. So we created Show Agents, a platform that connects realtors to local licensed showing assistants that can show properties on their behalf when they need it. Think Uber meets realtor staffing solution. A realtor uses the platform to reserve a showing assistant for their upcoming appointment, can see real-time appointment notifications, and receive immediate feedback reports with AI-generated suggestions for future appointments. Our biggest differentiators are our no solicitation commitment and proprietary training. What this means is, like, unlike our competitors, our showing assistants only show properties. They are not competing with the realtors that we serve. We also vet, train, and develop them into top showing assistants. And the market for this is huge. We're currently based in South Florida, where the 100,000 properties sold here annually is equivalent to an $80 million TAM of a $10 billion TAM across the US, not including the commercial, rental, and REO markets we aim to enter in the future. 2 years ago, we launched our website MVP and solidified beta clients from several top brokerages. To date, we've completed 1,500 appointments and just secured a massive strategic partnership. This team is delivering a tool realtors can leverage to improve their work-life balance, their productivity, and their income. So yes, you can take that vacation and still grow your business, because you can be in two places at once. My name is Nadia Davis, and this is Show Agents.
Thank you. And that was it for the pitch competition. We will distribute the QR code a little bit later so you all can vote and we can have a community vote for the winner. Meanwhile, thank you so much, judges. Please collect all your scoring boards. We'll calculate the winner and we will announce the winner at the closing session today. Thank you all for being part of it. Thank you. Sorry, I'm holding my tea, freezing. So I will introduce the next panel. Thank you all.
Regulatory. No, the next one is regulatory. Right? The next one should be the regulatory. You're the other one. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Oh my God, let me check. Next panel, please. Next slide. The next slide, the next panel will be on regulatory changes in the Web3 space and AI. As you've been hearing, a lot of lawsuits have been happening in the space, a lot of approvals that we're waiting, a lot of changes that the blockchain industry is experiencing and about to experience. So welcome on stage, Pirian Boring, Jacob Stefanian, and Maya Vujinovic. Sorry, not Jacob, Christian, yes, apologies. Apologies, we made a mistake with speakers. Welcome, welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, hello. Hi, I'm Perry Ann Boring. I'm the founder and CEO of the Chamber of Digital Commerce. We're a trade association that's advocating for the digital asset and the blockchain technology space, headquartered in Washington, D.C.
Good afternoon, Natalia. Thank you for having us and putting a great event together. I just flew in 15 hours from Middle East, so my brain would be a little foggy, but glad to be here. Maya Vujinovic, I run O Group. I've been 12 years in crypto space. Lawyer by trade, also a former CIO at General Electric. I ran all GE's digital transformation globally and catalyzed blockchain in 2013 across various divisions. I'm here to share some opinion around global frameworks and regulation because we spend a lot of time working with governments around the world and we have a fund as well.
Hi, my name is Christian Busch. I'm an investor in the blockchain crypto space since 2016. I'm also very active in the real estate space. Started a real estate investing firm in 2017 and have been pretty involved in both sectors and the intersection of crypto and real estate for the last few years.
Thank you. Jacob.
Hello. Please let me know if I'm a little more soft-spoken than the others. And you can hear me in the back. My name is Jacob Stepanian. I'm a manager at BDO on the forensics advisory side, which means I work on anything litigation support related, forensic accounting, investigations, monitorships, and then I also co-lead the integration of digital asset services within BDO's advisory. It just means that we enhance our existing services with digital assets, capabilities, and knowledge base. We've done some investigations, compliance work, as well as strategic accounting, tax, anything under the sun related to digital assets. And so I guess, yeah, that's my spiel. Thank you.
Thank you. As we've heard from the Mayor Soares today that the outlook for the next year seems to be more positive on regulation aspect, and we have the honor to have Pirian Boring here, who is leading the Digital Commerce Chamber to lobby for all the changes that we need in Web3 so that we don't get penalties for innovation, but rather we have a clarity on regulation and frameworks so we can freely innovate and invent. So Pirian, what was the biggest win this year?
We've had some pretty big wins besides the fact that there's been a lot of setbacks in the past year. I guess yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the name that shall not be spoken catastrophe. And that's caused a lot of criticism and just pushback from the regulatory and policy community in general. One of the biggest policy changes that we got this year is we are getting official GAAP accounting standards for digital assets. This is a really big deal for all companies that want to put digital assets on the balance sheet. We currently don't have accounting standards. This has been named the #1 barrier to the corporate adoption of digital assets. It's very, very difficult to put this on the balance sheet if you don't know how to account for it, if you think it could impact your relationship with your accountant, and more importantly, if it could be punitive to your financial statements to do so. So this was a huge win. It's currently in implementation, and FASB actually put out a statement just a couple weeks ago saying companies that want to go ahead and exercise fair value accounting for digital assets can go ahead and do so. So that's kind of like I don't know, not as sexy of an issue as like getting comprehensive legislation passed through the legislative process. But on legislation, there's also been very, very significant efforts to get regulatory clarity through legislation done in Congress. The main bill that's being worked on, it's called the FIT Act. This passed all of the committees of jurisdiction in the House. It went through Financial Services and the Ag Committee, which oversees CFTC, and it passed both committees with bipartisan support. So it's a pretty significant step forward in achieving that regulatory clarity that's desperately needed for crypto.
Thank you. And I think one of the biggest win of this year was also the XRP win, the Ripple win, where now this cryptocurrency is admitted as a non-security, which means for companies like Propy, who has cryptocurrency launched in a very compliant manner, that we can breathe freely, that our cryptocurrency can be used as a utility token, and it could be traded, and we wouldn't be as worried before this verdict. So the question to any of the panelists, what do you think this win of Ripple meant, winning against SEC? What did it mean for the industry?
Sure, I can go first. I think the key win in all of this was that the secondary market for digital assets would not qualify as a security, right? So in the launch, you might have to go through some regulatory compliance or security designation, or go directly to institutional or accredited investors. But the secondary markets are free to trade. So that is a very key win, and it opens the door for interoperable platforms, and so that you're not stuck with walled gardens of security tokens versus the standard tokens that trade on the decentralized exchanges or traditional crypto exchanges. So I think that was like to me, one of the bigger wins. And so it means, it'll be interesting to see how that translates to other quote unquote security tokens, right? Fractional tokens, asset-backed tokens. Some of the tokens they're being launched around fixed income or structured products. So we'll see how that develops and whether the courts uphold it. But it's a very interesting one.
Absolutely. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think it's great that XRP was declared not to be a security. However, it still leaves the open question of whether we have to fight this fight for every single token, or whether there can be a framework that actually makes it easier for people to understand. Because in crypto, you still have two types of investors, right? You have real investors who are looking to invest in these properties, and you've got the people who are trying to flip shitcoins. And XRP is probably more traditionally shitcoin related. And I don't think that this alone is going to move it over to the institutional side. So I would still love for the SEC and the other regulators to agree on a clear framework. It's not the Howey test, which they keep reinterpreting, on what makes a security token versus what makes a commodity token.
Absolutely. And as we speak about the Bitcoin ETFs today, Bitwise CIO was here. Later, we'll have Kathy Wood from ARK Investment, who also applied for Bitcoin ETF. How do you think most likely it will happen this year, and why the media in the industry are so positive, the government to actually potentially to approve it? Anyone?
I mean, I can start on that, just kind of globally, the outlook. I mean, for sure, just spending a month now in Middle East, we've seen everybody's paying attention to what SEC is doing, right? That's number one. I think a lot of people say, oh, it doesn't matter what happens in the US, will drive our regulation. And that's true. What's happening, for example, in Singapore and Hong Kong and in Middle East, I mean, these governments are rushing really, really, really fast in order to have a clear regulation on digital assets, and particularly on tokenization, right? Because they do have a lot of real estate and oil and et cetera that they want to tokenize, right? I think there is an excitement around the ETF naturally, because that would allow a floodgates of further users, right? And it would give us a sense of some kind of a security from the government at least, right? Because I think, as Christian noted, I think there are investors out there who want to invest in real crypto, but they are been afraid of investing, of what does that token actually mean, and will I get penalized as a company investing in that? So I think, I'm not sure it will get approved this year, particularly this year. That's my bet. And I think it's very political, right? Because the moment that gets approved, we also have an enormous amount of floodgates of retail coming in, and I just don't think our system at the moment, for a lack of clarity, can actually sustain that. And all of those regulations have to trickle down to everybody, not just to crypto, but Robinhoods of the world and Apples of the world and everybody else. So I don't think it's coming this year, but it's definitely coming, right?
It's absolutely political. This was proven when SEC Chairman Gary Gensler testified in the Senate Banking Committee, and he was asked by Senator Toomey, what is it going to take to get a spot Bitcoin ETF approved? And his response was, well, as soon as you give me jurisdiction over Bitcoin, then that would suffice. In the same hearing, he also said that Bitcoin is a commodity. It's outside of the SEC's jurisdiction. So in other words, this is being held hostage for Emperor Gensler to get as much power as he possibly can. And that is exactly what the DC courts ruled in the lawsuit Grayscale versus the SEC. Grayscale won its suit. There was 3 judges on that case. 2 were Democrats, 1 was a Republican, and it was a unified response from the judges that the SEC is being arbitrary and capricious. At the Chamber of Digital Commerce, we are advocating for a spot Bitcoin ETF to come to market as soon as possible. I agree with Maya. We don't know what the timeline is. Nobody knows that. That's a $1 billion, potentially $1 trillion bet. But the markets seem to think it's coming soon. And you can see that demonstrated by short positions being closed out, as well as the discount at GBTC starting to narrow and narrow and narrow every day. So the markets seem to think it's coming soon. But of course, that's information that's kept confidential between the SEC and the issuers. But the reason why I've been so passionate about this issue is you have your policymakers and your regulators that are very critical of crypto, and they say we need greater protection for consumers. In the same breath, they have for 10 years blocked every attempt to bring a product to market that would add consumer protections for retail investors. You can't have it both ways. That is classic doublespeak. We need a spot Bitcoin ETF now, and we are pushing for that.
I'll take the contrarian side on the Bitcoin ETF. I think at least from a price perspective, I think the ETF is already priced in. It's more of a sell the news event at this point, because the people who want to buy GBTC can already do that. The people who want to buy futures.
You think it's priced in already? So if
absolutely.
an ETF gets approved, you don't think the price is going to
I actually think, if anything, it's going to drop in the short run, because
I agree as well.
I don't agree.
I'll take that for
trillions of dollars sitting in the brokerage that's pent up. I think it's going to be a floodgate.
Well, GBTC trades right now. I could buy $1 billion worth of GBTC if I wanted to.
But that's closed end. You can't have redemptions. It's a different
I could
product.
still buy it. I could buy MicroStrategy if I wanted to.
I think you will have a pullback before it really, to your point, if floodgates completely open. Yeah, I can totally see what Christian is.
I won't add too much to this. I thought that was an amazing. Yeah, I'll agree to the contrarian view for sure. I don't see the ETF being as big of a deal as everybody's making out to be, but it does serve as a more of a acceptance, a broader acceptance by the institutions, and another avenue for those who are less inclined to hold their own cryptocurrencies in their own custody, whether it's custody providers or their own custody solutions, right? It's just once you're at an institutional level, where whether it's an family foundation or a endowment, there's little restrictions around the assets that you're holding personally. And so that's what'll get, probably make that push, but it's not necessarily a big retail push. I think if anything, circular economy and favorable tax treatments is what's really going to drive the velocity for crypto related transactions, so that you're not triple taxed on earned, cap gains, and sales tax.
And Maya, you just returned from Saudi from a huge finance and VC conference. What's the environment? What's the mood in the community in that region in terms of the crypto AI regulation?
Yeah, I was in United Arab Emirates and Saudi for about a month. We're working with governments there on this, and there's a huge growing community. As most of you know, probably in here, a lot of the U.S. hedge funds have moved to that region for specifically what we are discussing here is the lack of clarity. I think their governments, remember, have almost a clean slate, right, to start anew. So there's no legacy systems per se, and they can decide what they need to decide. And there's usually a one man that makes the decision, right? So that's much easier. But they're definitely pushing forward. And I would even say that to some extent, they will be providing protection for companies, even US companies that move there. They provide protection against SEC rulings. I mean, they have made that statement clear. So I think lots of people that have been moving there are looking to work with people like here in government and lawyers and companies. But I would say they're definitely more accepting of discussion. I think to Perian's point, this is really, really important. Even Coinbase has been 32 times, right, going up to the Congress and the SEC and saying, okay, look, this is what we need answers to, and you're not giving us anything. And then they keep being hit with lawsuits. What's happening there is they're opening doors and saying, okay, help us figure it out. Help us set the rules, because obviously the Howey test is not just copy paste for crypto. We need new regulation for decentralization. We need new regulation for onboarding the people that the banks in this country have completely forgotten. So that's where Middle East comes in and says, actually, we understand the unbanked, we understand the remittances. Help us, you as an entrepreneurs and regulators, help us understand how this needs to go. So that's a big difference, right?
That's an interesting take, yes. Thank you so much for participation today. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And once again, thank you for doing all this incredible job of making crypto and AI legal in America. Thank you. And the next panel is real-world assets and fractional real estate ownership. Welcome on stage, Michelle Lilly, Rick Teeth, Laura Pamatian, Julia Carreras, Mohsin Masood, and Rinat Kasihinsin. Sorry about the pronunciation. Welcome, welcome. One of the most exciting use cases in real estate and blockchain. This is the panel of doers. People who have introduced real-world assets on chain. And right after this panel, we are going to have Kathy Wood at 4:05. So in 15 minutes, a superstar in AI and blockchain will be here live. So you want to come back here. Are you moderating? Who was saying they were moderating? Can you moderate? Oh, can you moderate?
I could, but she has all the questions.
You have all the questions?
Yeah.
Are you going to be moderated?
They asked me to moderate.
Okay.
Am I supposed to be on the panel?
You look confused and I'm like, okay, no problem.
I don't know this gentleman though.
We'll have to be very precise if when we show the time, we should.
Renat.
That's all right.
It's Renat. What company
I
are you
don't
with?
have him.
Renat. Prototype.
We don't have him on the panel.
No, we added.
I don't have any background.
Like pictures so that we can figure out.
Do you have a,
Yep.
you need a mic?
Share.
We'll share. Awesome. Well, great day, everybody. I get the pleasure and privilege to get with this rock star panel right here, where we're talking about on-chain fractionalization. And so I just want everyone to take 30 seconds to introduce yourself to the audience, who you are, what you do, and what company you're with.
My name is Rick Teed, and I'm with the agency here in Miami in residential luxury real estate.
Laura Pamatian, I'm the founder of Height Zero Real Estate. I am a 20 years in real estate space, general brokerage I started in, niched into luxury pre-construction, hotel branded resort real estate. So Ritz-Carlton Residences, Mandarin Oriental, Auberge. Pivoted into the blockchain space about 3 years ago, and now I'm advising owners, syndicators, developers on how to implement AI blockchain tokenization into their real estate projects.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mohsin Masood. I am the founder and CEO for Accrue. Accrue is a real estate fractionalization platform, which was founded in 2018, and the platform went live in October of 2020 with a full release in 2021. We've got over 55,000 investors on the platform, as well as a very large pipeline of assets to go on there. The only trouble is where the market sits today. And then we're very heavily involved in the entire real estate transaction cycle. So from underwriting to treasury management, servicing, waterfall calculations. So the back end of the asset management side as well.
Awesome.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Julio Caceres. I am the founder and CEO of Prix, fractional real estate company. Awesome, everybody here on the panel. What I do is same thing. I'm a mathematician, and I also do fractional real estate, as a lot of people here do. We have a lot of properties that we have right now in our platform as well. We started about 1.5 years ago. We have about 6,000 active investors right now. All our properties have already been sold out. We're getting more properties, and we're getting a license right now that's going to be the first to be able to have non-accredited investors be able to buy the shares and trade the shares back and forth, and we'll talk about that during the discussion. And also, we could take people's properties as well. So that's amazing, because now if you have a rental property, you could bring it to us, we could fractionalize it, get rid of your mortgage super fast, your NOI goes up, and you're still the owner of the property, and we'll talk about that in the discussion as well.
Awesome.
My name is Renat. I'm with the Prototype, and I'm working to create within Propy ecosystem a group with the project is called like Propy Pools. It's an initiative where operators in the real estate space who, for example, do fix and flip operation could set up their own pool and borrow from it like a line of credit without having to go and raise capital again and again from hard money lenders and so on. And the features we're working on is for those who invest in such pools to be able to use their investment. For example, it could later be extended to, let's say, fractionalized ownership of a property that is producing cash flow, and use that fraction as collateral to take a loan. Just like people in DeFi, we've been taking loans on ETH as collateral, right? Where we go and we say, all right, I want to borrow, I need money to buy, let's say, a car or do something, right? Without selling my collateral. So investors in the hopefully near future will be able to invest in real estate, fractionalize or whatnot into various pools that fund, let's say, fix and flip loans, right? And then be able to do things that are almost impossible to do in today.
Got it. Awesome, awesome. So this panel comes on the back of the two pitches that we had earlier, including myself on fractional ownership, as well as what Mayor Suarez talked about with fractional ownership and how he saw tokenization exploding. And so, but let's talk about what many people may have a question about, and what is the regulatory landscape that we deal with when it comes to fractional ownership and on-chain? And Mohsin, let me give that to you.
Absolutely. Look, fractional ownership in real estate has existed for thousands of years. It's not a new thing. Two brothers have owned the same piece of land. The Howie citrus farms had a whole bunch of investors, which led to the Howie test, which the previous panel was talking about. And 2012, we got the Jobs Act, which led to your crowdfunding and more online platforms. And now we just have a new form of technology that's helping enhance the existing products. Just because it is being tokenized, the regulation around securities offerings does not change. And that there is no question about that. There's no two ways of looking at that, right? When you traditionally invest in commercial real estate today, 99.9% of commercial real estate is held in LLCs or entities, not in individuals' names, which means you don't directly own that asset as is. At least on the Accrue platform, all that the tokens represent is the membership interest units within that LLC. So instead of having it on a piece of paper, which could get lost, which is anyone could change, we're recording it digitally on a distributed ledger where we can add trust, and then we can add efficiency to the transaction process due to the multiple different features that it enables us to do. So no question when it comes to fractionalized real estate, unless you're getting into some really creative models around it.
Awesome, and they are. And so speaking of that, some may have the question on, some people tokenize with tokens, some people have heard about the NFT tokenization. So I'm going to say to you, Rick, NFTs, Propy, fractional ownership. Talk to us.
You forgot about AI.
And AI.
Okay, I just want to say it has been a very long and cold crypto winter.
Yes.
It has. And I really feel like things are coming back. And we got to give special thanks to Natalia Karaneva for putting this on, guys.
Yes.
I have known her. I sat on a panel. Yeah, thank you. I mean, Natalia is a rock star and a survivor. I met her in 2017. We spoke on a panel at SFAR, San Francisco Association of Realtors, to a packed house. And at the time, we sat up there and there were lawyers from title companies. And they sounded like Elizabeth Warren sounds today, that Bitcoin and everything like about this whole ecosystem was AML and no KYC and child prostitution. Yes. I can't believe that we still have to hear. What I want to tell you about what Natalia has done as she's transformed this entire industry. And she's pivoted over and over and over to bring services, and it's getting larger and larger, the offerings. And I want you to know something very soon. It's going to be My Propy AI. I'm sorry, I just stuffed your pipeline, Natalia, with a new project called My Propy AI. Because data is the lifeblood of AI, and you need data. And let me tell you something, there's reasons why Tim Draper is a big investor in this company. And there's a reason why Kathy Woods is on next. She's being watched by the best investors on the planet because she's going to control the data for all of real estate, which is a $400 trillion asset pool.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So Laura, talk to us about, Mohsin talked about the regulatory landscape and some of the things, but talk to us then, what does the process look like for tokenization, for fractional ownership on chain? What does that process look like to someone who may have no clue about that?
Yeah, thank you. So just to clarify, there's when one person says tokenization and another person says tokenization, they could be talking about two completely different things, even if we're talking about tokenization in the real estate space. So what Propy is doing is tokenization of the title, right? It's just transferring the asset in its entirety from one person to another. There is no fractionalization involved in that process. In tokenization of real estate securities, which is what Mohsin was referring to, is the tokenization of the shares, the interests, the investors' interests. It could be 2 investors, it could be 1,000 investors, and it's the fractionalization of and the representation of those shares onto the blockchain. So tokenization in that regard is highly regulated through securities, through the SEC, through a very traditional securities process, and that is very different from the transfer of real estate product. So it's really important when we are saying using terminology in the space to truly understand what the background is behind the conversation, and that you really understand, you know, the details of that.
Awesome. And in that process, we move to where people say the tokens can be traded, the liquidity side of it.
Look, sorry, I'm going to add a little bit before you even complete that to what Laura was saying as well. Tokenization in itself, you can tokenize this mic if you wanted to. I could tokenize a pen if I wanted to. It is nothing. It's all about the underlying structure behind it. There's people who use tokenization for a small sliver within the real estate transaction, which is just the capital markets piece. There's people who use it for your onboarding side. There's people who use it for your asset management, fund admin, and so on and so forth, right? So when you want to look at tokenization overall, there's no wrong way of doing it, and there's no right way of doing it. You need to understand when you're going to a service provider who's providing tokenization, what are you really buying? And in the interest of the 30 seconds that are left, I'm going to cut my answer short, and I'm happy to chat with anyone about this afterwards.
Thank you. So Carlos, talk about liquidity on the liquidity side when it comes to what they say that there's a tradable token.